And Blanca, how are you doing on this fine evening with all this stuff going on?
It's been that way. I think I'm not really into the planets and all that, but people who are may know something into planets, because machinery and communications and schedules are all kind of a little wonky this week. But here we are all together, and we're doing okay.
All right. Well, in fact, tonight, folks, I got probably one of my more interesting or better programs that I'm going to be sharing in some time. Let me say, first of all, okay, a week from Saturday, we have the workshop in Santa Ana, California. And this may be the last workshop I am going to do for some time here in the United States. It's the only one I'm doing in December. And I have been invited to go back to Norway on January 21st. That's the only one I will do in January. And I don't know if I'm going to be moving into doing another one in February or not, but that's the scoop. Now, you've been hearing me, and I have been sharing that my buyers have basically opened up the opportunity for people to come into the exchange. And I did send out a large email, not to my newsletter list, because I don't want to put it out on my newsletter list, but to people who had already emailed me about the exchange process. If you want to be involved in this exchange, this is the scenario at this time. Normally, you would send me the Dong currency, and then I send it on to the buyers. And the buyers, though, have had an excess of currency, and they're asking us to buy it from them. So you're buying it from me. You're buying it from them through me is what you're doing. And you can go to a max of 5 million Dong. If you are already in with me, you cannot do more. This is for new people only. And you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 million, and it's going to cost you $62 a million. Now, I need to turn this into a legal process, and here's what you need to do. The first thing you need to do is send me an email requesting that you want to be in the exchange. Do not send it to my Gmail email. Send it to the MSN email that is on my website. I rarely use the Gmail, so don't send me anything on my Gmail email because I may not see it for 3 or 4 days, okay? So send me a request, and then what I do, I send you 4 documents that you have to fill out. You send those documents back to me. I make sure that they're all complete, they're accurate and everything, and if they are, then I basically send you a form that allows you to then pay for the Dong, and you can use any debit or credit card. Now, I can bring in another couple hundred people, up to that many. That's the room that I have. And because everything has changed, and I also want to share, there is a very high probability now there is not going to be a round 2. So folks, if you want to be in this exchange, this might be your only opportunity. Remember, I don't set the parameters, I don't set the rules, and there is so much that goes on that a lot of us have no idea, and so we have to go by what they tell us at that time, and yes, things do change. And right now, there is a high probability, I don't want to say high probability, but there is a probability there will not be a round 2, and this may be your only attempt to get into the exchange. And as I said, you're going to purchase $5 million. It's going to cost you $310. And as of now, the scheduled payout is to be $1.50, $1.50 per Dong. So that means your $310 turns into $7.5 million, if that's what you want. Now, what I want to share with you is also the fact that yesterday I got an update from my senior brokers of what's happening in the scenario. Now, I can't tell you everything, but I can give you some of the stuff of what is going on. Remember, there are 2 stages or 2 steps to the payout. The first are what are called the preliminary brokers, the small group brokers, the small ones that are basically around the country. They go through the process first. Then after that is done, we go to the larger Texas processing office, and there's a good 60 to 80,000 people that are in that Texas processing office. It will take a couple of months for the small groups to get done. All of this is done through the authorization, a very quiet authorization of the white hats in the U.S. Treasury and in our military. They are the ones who are basically authorizing this to when the funds will be released. They authorized the preliminary groups I said about a month ago, I think, if I remember what it was, about a month ago. They had started the process and then they got shut down. Now, I don't know why. Our brokers didn't tell us why. They couldn't go into the details of why. But all I know is that the process had started and then they had it stopped. And then yesterday, in the update that I got, they had gotten the word they are ready to start again, which means the preliminary folks are starting the process for their payout. Now, this is probably going to take a couple of months, and then when they are done, then that's when we get to. But here's what I have been told. Once I am notified that the payout will be starting at our level, I cannot take in any more clients. It's done. So, folks, if you're serious about wanting to be in the currency exchange, you basically may only have a week. I can't say this for certain, but there's a probability you may only have a week or two to get that request into me, okay? So that's the scoop of what is happening there. Now, what else is taking place? I am absolutely amazed. Well, before I do that, Blanca, is there anything you want to share with that about the whole, the exchange process and people coming in?
It's just a remarkable thing. The things have changed. We've been at this for quite a while, and for a while there we didn't know about the second, and then we said it looks like, yes, there'd be a possibility for the second, and then they opened up the window for the first, and so I think you're letting people know, hey, it's window's open right now, but don't know when it's going to shut. So if people should really give it a thought. Again, everything's what they feel that they should do, but the numbers look pretty good.
Yes. Folks, I want to remind you, I have been to Hong Kong 4 times. I have met with the people that call themselves the Dragon families, who were the initial funders for all of this. I understand their story, their history, their thousands of years of involvement in this, and the massive amount of gold that they have under their control. I have seen it. I am familiar with a lady in the Philippines who is called the Princess, who is also a larger part of the Dragon families, and the massive amount of money that they have. They have always said that this is something that they have understood, that this gold belongs to humanity. It does not belong to them. Now, they have held this because they knew that for centuries they couldn't release this, because they knew that we lived in a world that was run and controlled by those that we would call the cabal, basically, the deep state, the dark hats. So they couldn't release all of these funds, because if they did, because they controlled the banking systems, they knew that eventually it would just end right back up into their hands, and they would only become more powerful and more controlling and keep the masses in various forms of slavery. But we have come to a point where they feel that it is finally, after hundreds of years, there is now a safe manner to release these funds to the people, and not so that the controllers don't have the control over it. Now, I don't have time to go into all the details around that, but I explain that much more extensively in the workshop, is what I do, because I tell you the history, the background, where this comes from, how the system works, what we know about it, why it's time that it's being released, and what the probability of all that is. Remember, the workshop is a full, complete, long, one-day workshop where I have the opportunity to go into all of that. But all I know is that I've seen that gold, and I know it's very real, and I've been to Hong Kong 4 times and I've met with them. And on the Texas Processing Office, I know how they got their money. I know how they make it multiply. I know who the man is that runs the center that is there. The lady that I'm in touch with, she's personal friends with the man that runs it there. He's been doing this for 8 to 10 years himself, and he has contracts. Everything is done under contract. There is no just walking into a processing center and you're going to get paid. All of this is done under contract. So when you are basically with me, you got 2 forms that you're going to fill out. One is called a limited power of attorney contract, that you're allowing me to exchange currencies for you. And the other one basically is a non-disclosure agreement. And we have to keep this somewhat kind of quiet and under wraps. I get to share it here on the radio program, but I don't get to give all the full details that is here because of for safety and security reasons. But everything we know is that things are getting ready close. Now, I've been talking with 3 other people and yesterday and today, and we all felt the same thing. It's like everything seems to be coming to a headway. Things are going to getting kind of chaotic. In the last week and a half, I've been listening to what are my traditional sources of information that I listen to. On a conventional basis, one that I really listen to a lot and I like is Ben Fulford. He is a great intelligence source of what goes on in what I call the shadow world, the world that goes on behind the scenes. And he is in touch with the White Hats in our CIA and the M16 in Great Britain and these other intelligence sources. And they trust him, they give him information to be able to tell what's going on. Ben Fulford, in his report on Monday, basically said, get ready, starting in January, things are going to get very chaotic, and in essence, all hell is going to start breaking loose. Things are going to get very chaotic, a lot of problems, a lot of crazy stuff is going to start going on in the background. That's a conventional source. Financial conventional sources that appear on the financial news programs like, CNBC and Fox Business News and etc. They are saying that we're going to start seeing some very deep financial chaos issues starting in January. Then the channeled source that I trust, and I told you who it is, I listened to Barbara Marciniak as she channels the Palladians. She's been doing this for over 30 years. They said all chaos is going to start breaking loose for 3 months starting in January. So January, February, and March. So now you've got conventional sources that saying things are going to get chaotic in January. You've got what I call intuitive channeled sources are saying things are going to get chaotic starting in January. And there's this one lady that I trust. She does what is called Vedic astrology. Her name is Joni Patri, and she's very good at it. And she is saying all the astrological reports are showing things are going to get very chaotic starting in January. I've never seen all kinds of different sources that don't even talk to each other, and they're all saying the same thing. We're going to have about 3 months of very deeply chaotic information going on starting in January. Now, I want to show you a book that I just got done reading, and it's a really great informational book. It's called, The Cedars by Alina Denane. If I move my thumb, you can see her name there. Okay. She's been appearing on some of the different talk shows. What's unique about her is she basically is what is called a galactic emissary. She says that she's not from here. She is basically from the Galactic Federation, and she has incarnated into a human body to be an emissary of information for us. And folks, I'm always a little bit cautious when I go through some of the stuff, but I have seen 4 of her interviews, and I just got done reading her full book, which is almost 600 pages. And the information she gives is phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it. She has this guide. His name is Thor Hahn. He's a Palladian, and he takes her and can move her off basically into space, and they go around it and they visit other planets. And they're visiting other benevolent ET races. And the title is called The Cedars because these are the 26 different ET benevolent races that have seeded the Earth, us and the Earth, as the humans. And they basically are saying is that you as humanity on Earth have come to a point in so many ways you are ready to make your shift and change. You are ready to move into a higher dimension because you basically have gone through what it would be a movement, a growth, an ascension, an education, and a maturity process as a collective, as humanity. And you're going to start seeing the dark hats, the black hats, the deep state stuff is going to start to be shut down. Now, this is not going to happen in short term. This could go on for still some years, but I think what we're seeing is that January is the start of the chaos that happens in a transition. And it was interesting because just yesterday I saw a short video by Alina. And what she said was there's going to be some deep chaotic time coming up, and it is extremely, extremely important that you hold your ground, stand your ground, and do not fall into fear. Do not fall into fear. And the reason is because she says fear produces a very low energetic vibrational pattern, and when that happens, that's what empowers all these dark hats. They want us in fear because that's when they have the ability to control us. Our job is to rise above the drama, be the observers, and let it be and stay strong. I have been sharing in the workshops now for years is that is the time that I always thought that the funds would be released, because as the funds get released for us, we then are going to have the resources to help a lot of other people through this very deep, chaotic, possible, economic collapse scenario that might be coming our way. It's very important that we stay into that situation. Now, I want to share something else with you that I discovered in the last, about week and a half, that I've always talked about the importance of reading that 5th Neruda interview from the wingmakers.com website. I have that in a PDF format on my website under the resources tab. This was information that came through 24 years ago, and Dr. Neruda was given kind of like information to be able to foretell some of the things that were coming. And what he was saying is that we were going to be moving into an era of what is called Human 3.0. Human 1.0 in essence was the caveman era, if you want to call it that. Human 2.0 has been the Homo sapien era, with lots and lots and lots of upgrades through the thousands and thousands of years. But he says we are ready to now go into a massive shift. And this shift is going to happen in two forms. There's going to be two forms for humanity. One is going to be the transhumanist agenda. And folks, I am amazed at the stuff that I'm seeing coming out in the last 2 and 3 months that is talking about the World Economic Forum, what I call the Billionaire Bad Boys Club, and that their desire to start shifting and changing and bringing what is called technology to the forefront to control humans and turn them into transhumanists. People who are controlled by technology, and yet we are still slaves to their system. The second part that the Dr. Neruda talks about is what is called the sovereign integral. These are the people that are awake and aware. They're highly conscious. They take control of themselves. They understand the power of their soul, and they know how to rise above anything that would want to take power and control over them, because they're fully awake and aware, conscious human beings. And they come from the power of their heart, knowing how to live from the power of the heart and to rise above any of what he called the dark agenda that they would want to be throwing our way. Alina Denon, in her book, The Cedar, she reiterates all this stuff that's taking place out there, and she reiterates about how this development is taking place. And it just sounds like, folks, we may be on the very front edge where we're going to start seeing some of this stuff developing. If you listen to some of the videos around the people at the World Economic Forum, you see how they want to totally take control through technology. Now, I want to share with you something that I saw about a week and a half ago that astounded me. It was a short, about a 6 to 10 minute video, I'm trying to remember, and this man displayed how the people who got what we know is the jab, is that it had a technology device in it. And I'm going back to my phone, and this technology device was a Bluetooth device. And what he has said is you can use your phone and you can tell how many people around you have this Bluetooth device inside of them that came through the jab. Now, I'm showing you my phone. This is an Android phone, and I know it's real bright and you can't see it there, but I just went under my Bluetooth settings. And I've got, my headset, my car, my watch, and etc. and stuff like that. And those are the ones that are paired. And then after that, it starts listing what are called available devices. And you're going to find some of these. Now, this only works on Android phones, folks. It doesn't work on the iPhones. You have to watch the video to learn how you can get this to show up on your iPhone. But right now, there is what is called I'm reading what is called the Bluetooth numeric identifier. 55:79:9A:68:3F::CD. That is a Bluetooth identifier, which means my phone is picking up this device, but it's not giving it a name. And right now, there's two of them. That means within about 300 feet of where I am physically located, there are two people that have this Bluetooth device in them that came from the jab. When I first saw this, I said, I want to test this out. And it was about a week ago what I did. I sat here at my home, I brought it up, and I had about 8 come up. And then I said, I'm going to Costco, where I know there's going to be a lot of people, and see what happens. So I had 8 here at home. I went to the Costco store. I sat in my car, and I turned on this device. I had 35 show up. I thought, oh my gosh. I said, let's see what's going to happen when I go into the store. Within 3 minutes, I'm in the very far back part of the Costco store, and I had over 150 of these devices showing up. Folks, there were not 150 unidentified Bluetooth devices in that Costco store. Those are coming from people. People who have got this device that's inside of them. Now, Joanna Carmichael just wrote what is called, yes, it does work on iPhone, and you need to use what is called the Bluetooth LE application. Now, I downloaded that. You go to what is called the Google Play, and you download this application called Bluetooth LE. Now, let's go to my Bluetooth LE, and let's see what's happening when I get there and how many it's going to pick up. My phone alone is only picking up 2 right now. But the Bluetooth LE, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I've got 8 showing up right now. It's picking up, and it gives me my normal devices, my earbuds, my TV, my speakers, and those are the known ones. These are called unknown devices. It gives the MAC number, it gives the date, and it gives its relative strength to where you are located right now. So, well, I told you about a week ago when I went into Costco, I had 150 of these show up. And here's a guy here, John Martin, said, John, you must have seen the video because someone actually went to a cemetery, tried this out, and there were devices showing up, which means the implant was still in the people who had been recently buried. And these was coming from dead people. So it's really interesting, folks, is that, I remember reading about this in the Neruda interviews, is that in this transhumanist agenda, and I used to teach this in my workshops, is that we were probably going to see some form of an implanted device that was going to be put into us so they could track us and they could hear us. Well, if you've got a Bluetooth device in you, and if the people who are running that can see this identifier number, and if they can relate that to an individual, they can track you as long as you're close to your cell phone, and they can also pick this up as a tiny, tiny microphone, and they can listen to your conversation that's within 3 to 5 feet of where you are. Folks, that's what this is. Now, Rich, you're asking, what's the name of the video? What I normally do after the program is over, I go through some editing, and in the next day or two, I send out what is called the video of the program. In that newsletter, I'm going to give you the link to the video that talks about this, being able to spot this Bluetooth device and how you can get that Bluetooth LE scanner application and put it on your phone. And you can test this yourself. Now, it works better on the Android phones that it does on the iPhones, but it is there. Folks, I mean, I had a person share with me that they and another person, they and the friend, they didn't get the jab, and they were sitting in this one location, and there was about 10 of them there. So they left, and they went out about a quarter of a mile where there were no people around them, and nothing was showing up. Because, see, they knew they didn't have it in them, but yet there were still people that was around them that did. So, folks, this is amazing. This is what is there. Okay, now Joanna wrote that instructions for the iPhone is in the comments under the video. Now, I'll send you the video out tomorrow. But this is amazing. This is that step where we got basically those that we call the cabal, the black hats, the rulers of this world, are wanting to run us and control us. And if you've got a Bluetooth receiver inside of your body, they can start feeding information into you that you will be sensing and hearing, and it's going to be a subtle form of control. Folks, this is the world that we're entering into, and what's important for us, we are the ones who get to rise above this and keep us as a sane group of humanity who are truly our own sovereign integrals, and we are not controlled in this transhumanist agenda world that they basically, the controllers, are wanting to bring our way. So, folks, that's kind of what I wanted to share on the program here tonight. And I know, wow, all I'm knowing is that the reports I'm getting from, my brokers, as things might be very close, we're still at least a couple of months away, but we're getting very close for the shift and change. We have always been told that the funds would be released at the time that there's a bunch of chaos going around. Things are falling apart. The black hats are wanting to control everything, and the release of these funds is to neuter their power and control and to offset the damage that they would do. That's the primary release of all of this money that the Dragon family says belongs to humanity, the primary reason for it to be released. So, now, with that, Blanca, I'm going to go to you and you can share your comments on what I've talked about tonight.
Well, you talked about a lot and huge things, very, very interesting, great information. It really is very interesting that we would be talking about this push for transhumanism, and we would be talking about in terms of the future and something to look out for. And now it's right here, like you say, and unfortunately it's actually penetrated the bodies of people, which is very, very sad. I think, too, the message that you're encouraging people to say, listen, if you think things have been chaotic and things have been stressful and challenging, and it feels like your rights are being infringed upon and tyranny's face is coming, you're good, but that was just training. because come January, then we're going to go to the next level, and it's just a test. It's just a test, and like you say, rise above it. Fear is exactly what they want, right? That's why they're turning all this stuff.
See, they've always used fear as one of their primary forms of controlling people. So they would create fearful events like wars. But what's interesting is, see, in the past history, any fearful events they create were always localized. A war was localized. A war could be going on in Europe, and that us here in the United States wouldn't even know it. Well, we are in the process of coming through an event that I have never, ever, ever seen before that had the whole world under fear at the same time. and that was the COVID scenario. They had the whole world under fear. They had the whole world wearing masks. They had the whole world standing at 6 feet apart. They had the whole world under this fear of this death of this virus. And I'm not even going to get into all that, but you saw basically the power of the elite controllers of what they can do to humanity, but fear is their controlling mechanism. They cannot control us if we don't fall into their fear. And that's why it's important that we stay above it, rise above it, allow ourselves to be sane and basically people who are in control of ourselves, and we don't fall for their agenda.
It's very interesting that as we work with those thoughts, let's say it starts penetrating in that little worm called fear, and then we start embellishing it. A lot of it is our own doing by our own imagination. But when we see that and we say, well, wait a minute, I do not have to harbor these thoughts. I do not have to fear. These are the steps I can take, or maybe I'll do something loving, or just try to change the state of mind. Even by that practice, then you're going to the other side. You're going towards a sovereign integral, because as you said, Dave, the sovereign integral is one that controls his own state, or rather monitors it, or rather is aware of his or her state, and that they're proactive about staying in a level of frequency that is conducive to health and peace of mind and faith and love and all those good things.
Yeah. Let me make a quick comment. On Facebook, a person had brought up, it says, okay, if somebody has this Bluetooth device in them, is there a way to get it out? And she said that she didn't have it, but she knows her family does. I don't have an exact answer on that. I think the guy in the video talks about it, but you can be as certain as there are ways to do that. There are ways to basically to neutralize any type of an electronic device that you have within your body. I don't have the direct answer on that, but I would say do your own research. Do your own research, folks. That's what Google is for. That's the good side of Google, is to do a lot of research on this stuff. Watch the video. Maybe, if he allows you to have emails into him, stuff like that. But I'm sure there is a way to do that. I don't have an answer on that, though. So, but that's a good question. Okay, Blanca, back.
The other thing too is to if somebody took one, stop. If you took two, definitely stop. You see, that's the other thing. Because the whole mechanism of the repeat visits to get your little gift here is to make it stronger, to make it better, because they're learning. Remember, these things are still under emergency use. It's until 2024. That's how they let them go. So if they're under emergency use, that means they're watching. Okay, they're watching. What effect does this batch have on humanity? Whoops, killed them too fast, too obvious. Okay, what effect? Okay, a nice 6-month burn. Okay, do you see? So you do not want to be getting, multiple ones of these, because they're going to be doing different things to them. And so that's the main thing. And I agree with Dave. There probably are ways to take a look at this. Prayer always helps, because that opens up doors. That's all I have to say about that one.
Now, first of all, you need to understand this device, it's so tiny and so small, it was able to be placed into basically, the vaccine type of, it comes through that. That's how small this thing was. So it's tiny. It's probably hardly even see it, with the naked eye. It probably wouldn't show up inside of there. And it could have been that it was something else that I don't know. I don't understand the full process. All I know, I saw the video and I've tested this myself, and I'm absolutely amazed. Because when I went into that Costco store, I know Costco didn't have 150 Bluetooth receptive devices in that store, and there wasn't 35 of them out there when I was sitting in my car. Okay? And I'm really surprised, because right now about how low it is. The number that's on here now is actually a very low number in contrast to normal. Normally my numbers here are much, much higher. But I live in an apartment complex, and right now it shows you there's around 7 or 8 people here within about 300 feet of me that this is showing up on my phone. This is some of the smallest I've ever had. So, but it still shows you it varies, is what it does. So, Blanca, anything else that you want to share?
Well, just one final thing, because I remember several shows ago you played some of Uncle Klaus Hall talking about the blending of biology, psychology, finance, technology, and that's what we're also seeing. So they've already initiated the pilot for the central bank digital currencies here in the United States.
Yes.
And the executive order 14067, which Biden signed, which I think makes it go in effect on December 13th or 14th. Well, this technology is a way for them to start tracking you that they can monitor your financial behavior or limit it. So what we're trying to help people see here is that everything is related right now. We're telling you these globalists want to finally put the globe under their total control with some nice little robot human beings that they can control. And so none of this is disassociated.
Yeah. So, it was interesting. It was just in the last week that I watched a video that talks about this transition that's going to go to a digital currency. And when you got digital currency, it means that everything is observable and controlled by the people who can, get access to all of it that goes on. And they basically said the answer to that is put your discretionary money into hard physical assets and not in banks. In essence, go buy a lot of gold and silver, is what they said. Because if you have all your money in the banks, see, you want to have a limited amount. You only want they said the only money you want to be in the banks are the money that you need to do your normal everyday living and spending. You don't want your excess money in banks. You don't want your discretionary money in banks. You can put them into cryptocurrencies or you can put them into hard assets because those don't show up in a digital currency system. Because the digital currency banks means that all your money is turning into digits and they're going to phase out the physical currency. And I remember watching a video about a couple months ago by the guy I really like to listen to. I'm going blank on his name right off. But he said it's important for us to start using cash as much as possible. Cash as much as possible, because these businesses will then rebel against the system of digital currency if they realize that people won't use digits, debit cards, credit cards for their purchases. They're only going to use cash, and they're realizing how much business they would be losing. So they basically, that's what he is saying, is that use cash as much as possible in all your transactions. So, Blanca, any other follow-up comments there then? I
think we're good. You covered a lot today, a lot to chew on. Just remind people, too, about the beginning. If they want to participate in this exchange, you gave them some very explicit directions, and yes. I would say it's very, very good opportunity here.
Folks, the vast majority of you all listen to me because of this potential of the currency exchange. And the new information that I have gotten is, if you want to get into it, now is the time to get in, because there may not be a round 2. This might be your only opportunity. You need to send me an email, and then that you are requesting to be in the process, because I can't handle third-party involvement. These are legal contracts, and it has to first be initiated by you requesting to me that you want to be in this exchange. And then from there, I send you the forms to fill out. You send those back to me. And then, from there, I send you a link for the payment. So everything is done over the internet. I do not want physical documents. I don't have room in my apartment here to basically put thousands and thousands and thousands of pages into files for a couple thousand people, okay? So everything is done over the computer and on the internet. I do back everything up, just for your security here, so you know that all the people here, I probably have 4 or 5 thumb drives that I've backed everything up on, and they're in my safe, so that I do have a backup on the whole system. So, well, Blanca, we can't take any calls in here tonight because of the fact that we had problems with Blog Talk. I will check this out again so that maybe we can figure out what that was, or maybe it's time for me to go to a new system. I know I keep talking about it, but I never get around to it. So, but anything else then you want to share with us before we finish up tonight? Because it has been a 45-minute program. So.
Yeah. No, I think we're good. I hope everyone has a. Well, we're ending November into December, and just be careful because there's a lot going on. Keep your state and keep your heart.
Yep. Thanks, folks. Thank you for joining us tonight, and then we'll see you next week. All right? All right. Okay. Oh, yes, and also remember now, I've got a week from Saturday, the workshop in Santa Ana, California. I think it's, and remember what I do when it comes time to pay out, I start with the most recent workshops attendees, and I work back from there. And this might be my last workshop I'm going to have in the United States here for some time. So, okay? All right, folks, thanks a lot. We'll see you next week. All right.